Well, hey there, Tiffany here, and this is the After Hours Chats podcast. And at the time that this will be going on air, it'll be 2026. So happy Gregorian New Year 2026, depending on which calendar you follow. But I am joined today once again by my friend Christine Soltis, who I have known for many years now, and it's always a pleasure to catch up with Christine and just see what you're up to, because you always have something very fascinating going on. So but you were part of my 31 days of Halloween, but since then, since catching up with you at the Mothman Festival, the Horror Realm Flea Market, and then being part of my 31 days of Halloween, what all have you been up to since then? Because you seem to be, you're always doing a lot. You opened up a new shop, and so just like fill us in.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, can you hear me okay? I forgot to check.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
And thank you so much once again for having me on. Like, you're awesome about interviewing people, and you just want to put that out there, and you totally deserve some interviews of yourself, because you always have a lot of great stuff going on. I gotta get that out first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you saw like some of the bigger things that I did in 2025.
Yeah.
Starting up the shop in Florida, that didn't open. It was supposed to open in July, but it didn't open up until like October. So that's only been open for about 2 months now. So, I had like a lot of stuff going on at the same time, which put a lot of pressure on me. I had like the panel event on November 1st.
Yeah.
Florida the weekend before that to set that shop up. So I was in this frantic mode forever, and then finally it just died off. So it's been like really nice to get lazy for a little bit, but that's where I've been. I am starting to think about like everything for next year and what I need to do with my existing projects. So for example, like the Florida shop's new, so it's going to need a lot of promotion. I'm also retail. I love retail, but it's, not always the most lucrative thing. So this was my last year. 2025 was my last year to try out all of the retail stuff that I wanted to do. Now I have to move into more serious things. Like I've been wanting to learn like cybersecurity and stuff like that, because most people know I'm a private investigator. That's my full job. That's what brings me my money. Yeah. So it's like serious stuff brings in more money than the fun art stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep all the beautiful creations, and I have fun ideas for new shirts and stuff for that Florida shop. I'm gonna keep doing that for now, but I need to add, because I've always had this existing tier of like a security company in the future and stuff like that, which I'm not gonna go too much into detail, because that's been my 10 years from now plan. Now it's like 5 years from now plan. I'm getting closer to that old age plan. Oh, sorry to go so serious on you, but that's where we're at now. We're starting to learn cybersecurity. Those steps have finally come to fruition.
Wow. Yeah. So, well, no, that's really, really cool. And who knows, like maybe you'll learn something, cool for your next book. You can do like a cyber, kind of like something centered around cybersecurity. So, but
oh, sorry. I was just going to say Reclusive 2038, that was set into like a futuristic society with like advanced, that's one of my books I wrote like 10 years ago. It's kind of coming true. And a lot of the devices and things that were used in that are being used now. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So, yeah. You're like, hey, how did I know that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But you, like, with all of your, your exploration and all the knowledge that you've gathered, whether it's on things like, alien abductions to more paranormal ghosts, ghostly stuff, to things like private investigating, cybersecurity. You've brought a lot of very fabulous panels. Because I know that you were doing those, obviously, a few years ago, and now you brought them back. And
Decade. So we've known each other for
we've
we're
known
looking
each other for quite some time. Yeah. But
at this point.
yeah. um but you've brought back your very fabulous panels, and I know a lot of work probably goes into those things. And can you maybe give us a little like behind the scenes insight onto like what all goes into your panels? I mean, you don't have to give away all your secrets, but just maybe just give us a little idea of what all goes into it.
Certainly. So, I was just talking to a friend about this, and sometimes, like, as artists or people who have, like, a lot of intellectual things, we kind of feel like we're driven by some sort of force. And like, who
Yeah.
is that force? Is that our own creativity? Is that our own genius? Or
Mhm.
what's going on? What's at play here? So, a lot of things just come to me. So, the topics, I'll just kind of think up the topic. Like, it just kind of comes to me what I personally
Mhm.
want to know more about, what I think that the rest of the world might want to know more about.
Yeah.
And then I like to do them in a sequence. So we started with like life on other planets, aliens and AI, and then we
Mhm.
went into abductions, like what might happen to the people like
Yeah.
on our planet, things like
Mhm.
that. And then next we're going into, and that kind of segued into like the next breed, which is like cryptids, April 18th, 2026. So
Mhm.
we'll seeg into cryptids, kind of opening a doorway, like a dimension, I guess you could say, in between each.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
after cryptids, though, we're going to go a little bit off course into ghosts and apparitions. But a lot of people say they're all tied together, so it's really not that far off course. But what
Right.
happens is there's Rob Kauth Shaler over at Bethel Park Library. He is freaking awesome. Like everybody who knows him knows he's just freaking awesome.
Mhm.
So I just work with him on a date, that's available with the library. And then I just go ahead and, I make up the flyers, the first announcements, the questions. The panelists usually get them a couple months in advance.
Mhm.
And then I do make some like glow in the, every single panelist gets a goodie bag. They get like a gift card. They get some merchandise, like a shirt or a tote that glows
Mhm.
in the dark and it has everybody's image on it. They get like keychains, and then I also, if somebody wants to be a sponsor, then they get to like they can bring like some gift cards or donate to the panel. This is kind of newer, and we did that. Jonathan Stiffy was our very first sponsor at the last panel, and he contributed some like gift cards to each panelist. And I have photographers, awesome photographers that come and help and a live stream. And I'm sorry, I'm babbling.
Yeah. No, 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 it's really cool to see, it's always
There's
fascinating to see what all goes on, behind the scenes of any type of project, because, even with me, like, doing music, for instance, people only see the finished product, or even if you're filmmaking, making a film, people only see the finished product. And and then, but then, like, once you start to really dig deep and just see what all goes into, even behind just making one song or one film or one panel, it's like a lot of people are like, really? Wow. It takes that much. And it's just like, yeah.
no,
Yep.
you're right. And
Mhm.
I love that you've been posting like some singing stuff. Like I love
Yeah.
seeing that.
Thank
That's
you.
I did that before. I
Well,
think
there's more of
people
that
may
to
not.
come.
Yeah,
So,
good. That's
yeah.
good. And it looks aesthetically pleasing, especially like on a stage,
Oh,
like
thank
the way
you.
those
Thank
photos.
you.
No.
Yeah, kind of going in like, I don't know if if I would call it a new direction with it, but definitely, you know, I guess you could say taking it to another level, and, I've just been kind of upgrading equipment and all that stuff. And yeah, definitely. But yeah, I will be doing a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, especially as I release new stuff, so. Yeah, yeah, cool. But yeah, but it is but it definitely is. There's a lot of work. There's like months of preparations that like, go into your panels and and I think, until you realize that, like you don't, truly appreciate like what all really goes into everything that, you do, whether it's on like, an artistic level or on, like kind of like an event planning level. So, yeah.
Certainly.
Mhm.
That's one other thing. I'm considering whether or not I want to put the time and effort into like arranging an actual vendor event because people have asked about like vending at the panels, and I leave that solely for the panelists to have vendor tables where they can sell like books and things like that. But I've been considering having like an event in 2026, and I'm like, do I really want to put that much pressure on me again?
Yeah. I
That's a lot more work doing a vendor event than a panel, I think, too.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. But it's just kind of like I don't know, it's almost like like us artistic type. It's like it's almost like we're kind of like gluttons for punishment like that because it's like, ooh, okay, well I did this. Now what like let's see what else I can do, But
Yeah.
which is yeah, I mean which is a good thing because you always want to keep growing, but sometimes it's like finding that balance between, challenging yourself enough and like taking things to like, the next level, whatever level you want to be at. And, but also being careful of not biting off more than what you can chew in that moment as well, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's why, like, I follow my intuition a lot, and I let it
Hmm.
kind of dictate. Like, if I get a feeling like wait, then I wait. And like a
Yeah.
lot of us won't listen to that intuition.
Right.
Um, But like I did with my panels, I scheduled them over a year in advance, and people are like, "That's pretty far," but you have to secure the date, like
Oh,
because if you
yeah,
don't, it's gonna be gone. Especially the one I
exactly.
got October 24th, 2026. That's right before Halloween for the ghosts. If
Hmm.
I hadn't gotten that like a year in advance, that would have never been. At least even by now, it probably would have been taken up.
Probably. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. But yeah, but in addition to all of that, you said you're also working on like a new ley line book. Um did
Yes,
you yeah,
I'm
like
hoping to. Because I just added a little bit extra to it from a presentation that I did on it.
yeah.
Um and like you get a little bit of flack when you do stuff like that because there are people who believe the earth is flat, and then you have like the people who believe in like the science version. So
Hmm.
it was a little bit there was a little bit of um, whenever I did the presentation, there was a little bit of, there were some flat earth people present. So for me, it just like kind of made me think a little bit like maybe I should, you know, consider whether or not I want to add something about that in the book itself, or do I
Yeah.
want just like because it's weird because everything you do can offend someone, even if it's not meant to.
Oh
So
gosh, yeah.
sometimes I'll put something aside while I like think about how I want to approach it in a strategic way, I guess you'd say. And like I
Yeah.
said before, I was trying all this retail stuff. Like that was 2024, 2025
Hmm.
was try and see how life is with, retail. Can it overtake like what I can produce in like a PI scenario, and it
Hmm.
unfortunately it didn't, but I'll keep doing it. It's just like I said, not as lucrative as security. So if that changes, then heck, I'll be one fun event planning person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be on the road now.
Yeah. But did you say that you were going to be releasing the book like this coming like year or
Hope so, but I uh I just started doing a little bit of the work on it. Like, I just added a little bit extra, but I haven't read through it again. It's
Mhm.
not really a long one because it's an introduction book, so it really shouldn't take me that long to get the rest of it
Yeah.
completed. And then I would send it to an editor. I don't release my books without an editor.
Hmm.
Um, So it would depend on her timing to release that. But I do, because I have a couple metaphysical books I want to release too and write. So we'll see how this winter goes. If we get
Yeah,
snowed in one weekend, I might, because I'm one of those people, I write a book in a day or two and it's
right.
done, set it aside. So if I have like a day where I'm stuck in and there's no distractions, it's just going to be done.
Yeah.
But I haven't, I have not committed to it yet. But, but I do have something else cool. We're supposed to be doing like a short little paranormal humor kind of film. I'm not going to give
Oh,
much detail on that, but
yeah.
a local fun thing that we might be doing this coming spring of 2026 as well.
Nice.
There's a
Very
lot of
cool.
I need different stuff sometimes. Just like I just have to do something different. It's just me.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that one. But yeah, no, but definitely look forward to hearing more about that, like when it starts to come into fruition. So
Yeah,
yeah, cool.
I do have to. I have to write that script, so maybe that'll compel me to do the book too.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So definitely, yeah, look forward to that. So, and
Mhm.
yeah, and also, I mean, obviously we just had the winter solstice and, the holiday season, and traditionally it's actually a centuries old tradition to tell ghost stories. So that's actually a very big tradition, for the Christmas season, for centuries. Maybe not so much anymore amongst the modern folk, but do you have any like favorite ghost stories, or like whether there be, true or made up, or yeah, do you have any?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I've always been known as someone who kind of blocks or just like stays away from any ghostly types of spirits. But recently I've had like such a huge curiosity, like it goes hand in hand with both the paranormal story the film that I want to do this year and my absolute curiosity of just doing something different. I was recently exposed to, do you know who David Sloan is from Robert the Doll,
Oh yeah,
Florida?
yeah,
So David Fairhead, who you know, because you're
yeah.
the first person that he interviewed, he said, 16 years ago on his podcast.
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to be helping with that interview, but as a PI, I was in West Virginia and I ended up getting lost. And I have an offline GPS system, but the mountains were so like crazy in this place. It literally tried to take me up this like dirt gravel
Yeah.
like mountain to get out, and I was lost. I was like, crap. So I was supposed to be on that podcast, but I had a hard day that day and the day before, so with work. So I was like, I'm probably not going to be a good help or a good host with David and with
Hmm.
David Sloan and Jess Weary, I think, was on that too. So I was like, you guys don't need me. Fine. So I
Hmm.
listened later though, because I was like, what did I miss? And it's super fascinating, the story of Robert the Doll and David Sloan. He literally, like, when you think of Florida, you don't think of like ghosts and
No,
creatures.
you really don't.
No, not at
Like,
all.
it
So
just seems like it's so just like happy and bright down there, you know?
yeah, definitely. So he basically created like ghost tours, and
Mm.
he kind of chased after the story of Robert the Doll, and
Wow.
in that particular interview segment, they were talking about like the doll having like multiple entities in it,
Yeah.
um, just like his experiences are like by far that is my favorite right now.
Hmm.
It's that particular podcast and the stories from David Sloan, how he took one of my favorite places, like Florida,
Yeah.
and and, and just brought forth like a whole ghost tour. He has books. He has that. It's just like for me, it's just so freaking fascinating. So that's my current favorite. I'm sorry that it's not something exciting or storybook, or I haven't had TV for a long time, so
Yeah.
not influenced by popular culture very well.
Hmm. Oh no, but that is, a very, very it has very fascinating lore behind it, and just like dolls in general, just have,
They're scary. They're
yeah,
scary.
they are. They
Hmm.
are. It's like they look like little people, and it's
I
well,
do.
I actually heard this one story, and it was a while ago. I forget who told it to me, but
Sorry,
but
I'm in a weird mood today, too, anyway.
huh?
I'm in a weird mood anyway, so this is just even great.
Oh no, you're good. But I heard, but somebody I know, I forget who, and I heard this was a while ago that I heard this story, um, but like a friend of mine told me a story about somebody that he knew, and his friend was staying at like this was like when he was a kid. His friend was a kid and staying at his grandmother's house, and his grandmother was this big collector of dolls, and she had a whole big room like on with like shelves of dolls. And when and his friend would go stay over, and what would happen was, well, what this happened one night when he fell asleep on like the couch that was in the doll room, and when he woke up, all of the dolls were like turned and staring at him.
Oh my god. See why I always avoided ghostly things. Telling you,
Yeah.
stop. Don't look at me. I have a story for after this to tell you. It's like
Oh wow. Okay.
internet story, but it has to do with a doll staring at me.
Oh goodness, wow. Yeah. No, but dolls are like
Oh my god.
there's just something like about them that, it's just kind of like it's innocent enough, but at the same time,
I'm just imagining all those dolls staring at
yeah,
me.
all those dolls just like whoo, staring. Yeah. But
It's crazy.
but yeah, but I know like there were certain, and this was like centuries ago, there were certain religious sectors that would make their dolls without faces because they believed that as long as the doll didn't have a face, it could for like somehow it couldn't be like that, it became less possible for it to be inhabited by any type of entity, because
It's worse though, because then like I mean it maybe it wants your face or something, maybe it wants to I don't know.
yeah,
It's just
I don't know,
it's
but yeah,
unnatural face.
yeah,
So
but there were certain the groups that were super super religious, and like I said, this was centuries ago, but groups that were super super like heavy religious, like Puritans and all that stuff. um yeah, like they would actually make their dolls without faces because they thought that, if the doll had a face, that made it easier for an entity to get into it. And if the doll didn't have a face, it would be less appealing to, like, to some type of trickster spirit or entity or something. I was like, oh, wow, that's fascinating.
because I've been to Salem quite a few times, and I'm trying to remember when we saw the Poppets if they had faces. Did they? I can't remember. It's been a long time. I should Google
Hmm.
that. I'll do that later.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess that was like a thing too, where like they also didn't want to make a doll that like resembled any of, anybody or any of their anybody that they knew, because, it was also thought that if somebody got something that was, of your likeness, like you didn't want to make a doll that looked like your daughter, because yeah, somebody could get a hold of that doll, and like then that's what they were afraid of too, somebody getting a hold of that doll and like doing something like doing like voodoo or or any type of like magic or whatever other magic that they did or believed in, like they didn't want that happening. So yeah, it's really, really fascinating, like when you look into like things like, whether it's standard dolls or puppets or, or voodoo dolls, because I know that's like something, a little bit like, that's like a completely different culture right there. So it's but yeah, but it's like, really fascinating because like, yeah, when you're a kid, you just think, oh, a doll, but then when you're like 9 years old and you accidentally see the movie Child's Play. So,
Well, you know,
because that happened to me, you
oh,
know.
oh no, kids draw on like doll faces all the time too, so it just makes
Oh
them
yeah,
creepier. Like,
yeah.
I got a
So,
black marker and I color on this doll's face. Oh, that's terrible. I'm like, ah!
I don't know, I might have been like younger than 9 or something when I accidentally saw like maybe a year or two younger. When I accidentally saw Child's Play, and I was like, oh my gosh, and like, the Chucky doll was like running around and, being all scary, but or at least to a
Yeah,
kid, it was definitely scary.
yeah.
But hmm yeah, but between like all of your panels, your books, your boutiques, like, I mean, have you like faced any like major challenges while juggling everything and, putting everything together? And like, if so, like, how did you work your way through those challenges?
Well, I found something really weird about me a long time ago, and I work better when the pressure's on. So like I
Yeah.
literally like if I'm going, I'm like it's like a marathon sprint and it's awesome. Like my current challenge though is I'm so lazy now. Like it took a long time to be lazy. And many people would say that I deserve it, but I mean I don't want to go outside sometimes.
Yeah.
It's winter. Um, like I haven't had felt any pressure towards, making anything. Like I'm excited to make some weird creative shirts that I was joking about because a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna make is gonna be like dark humor or just funny or like
Mhm.
gag gifts or whatever. Um, and then one of the challenges I think is like the expenses with retail because and I think a lot of people would agree that last year was pretty or 2025, it's not gone yet, well it will be by the time of the airing of this, but
Yeah.
2025 was not a good sales year,
Mhm.
so you do lose money if your expenses outweigh your profit.
Mhm.
And like purchasing items, that's fine. But if you buy in bulk too, it's even cheaper. But if you go to an event, and you may remember this because I you used to do a lot more events too, is that
Mhm.
events are hit and miss. You could go
Right.
to an event and you could sell $20 and you wouldn't even make your table back.
Yeah.
Or you could go to an event and you could make $600. Like
Yeah.
it's so unpredictable and there's so many variables, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
people felt the pinch this past year, and
Mhm.
it manifested for a lot of people during events and shops and retail.
Mhm.
So we just
Yeah.
if that ever goes bare, and there's a lot of stuff. That's one
Yeah.
big big challenge I've had because it's really hard when you're a PI and you kind of want things to be just and right.
Right.
You're also an artist, so it's like a double, if people are stealing all the stuff that you're making,
Yeah.
it's like a double whammy because you want justice and you're also hurt because you made that stuff. You made it
Right.
with your own hands. It's not
Yeah.
like this was and it's not okay to steal from corporate entities either, but corporate people aren't going to care as much as someone who made it with their own
Right.
hands, who bought it with their money from their work, like
Mhm.
because we work our jobs so that we can do our arts, and
Right.
that's one thing people don't understand too is we're not rich, we work to make things work.
Uh-huh.
For me, you know I would like to not be spending my PI money on my arts money,
Hmm.
on my art stuff. That's what I would like to do, is have each one, supporting themselves. So that is a big challenge. That's a big challenge that
Right.
a lot of people won't talk about. And sometimes you'll see an artist who has their book for $10. And
Right.
for me, I'm like, you're not making anything, because you know that right now a book cost is going to be $8 to $9 plus shipping
Right.
at a lot of places, especially if there's color in that book.
Yeah.
So they're actually taking a cut just to sell it. And and you're just like, how do you do that?
Yeah. Hmm.
They're not putting in their time, like your time, a couple hours that you're spending making that item.
Hmm.
People are considering how much they're losing sometimes when it comes to retail. So that's definitely one of the challenges I would say.
Hmm.
And if we could just get people to go more towards, shopping small business and understanding
Hmm.
our dynamic, that would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't be $5 Walmart shirts though.
Yeah. Yeah, but then those shirts fall apart after a while, or not even a while.
Yeah. But
I
I
don't know. I
like to
haven't bought a shirt at
go.
Walmart in forever, so yeah.
Well, there's lots of plastic there, like plastic containers. I need to get to store
You
all
need
my.
plastic containers.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, but really it's always interesting doing events and what's also, because when you mentioned that, what's also interesting about doing events is that sometimes like the smaller events, you actually do better than at the
Oh,
larger event. And sometimes it's vice versa,
yeah.
but but like I would find that like at a smaller event, it's like, where I would be like, I don't know how this is gonna be. I don't know how I'm gonna do. Like I would find that like I would actually sell like a very significant amount at the smaller events. And then sometimes, at the larger events, like that's sometimes where you're just kind of like you said, okay, yeah, you make $20 and you know,
Well, there's a lot of competition at the larger events, and a lot of the larger events are there to pull in celebrities because people are
right.
coming. They're
Hmm.
paying 100 some dollars for celebrity autographs. They may not have money after that for
Yeah.
a cool little small business.
Hmm.
But I have recently heard good things about Comic Con. I've never. What is that? Is that what's called, the one that just passed? Still City? Is it
Steel
one of
City
those?
Con, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I heard good things about that. I haven't done that. Believe it or not, I've done so many events. I've never done that one.
Yeah, I've done Steel City Con with the comic and web series Heroinberg because I'm in that. So they've had tables there and and I've been there like, as part of the cast and all that. Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean we always seem to have done pretty decent there. So I mean, I would say it's maybe worth a shot. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So, anything else that you have coming up for these next 12 months?
Oh my gosh, I'll always add something on.
Yeah.
I can't wait until my next visit to Florida. Like, I'm not, it's kind of colder at the beach now, but
Hmm.
I did just make some really cool, like, flyers or not flyers. Oh my gosh, videos, little video snippets, reels, stuff like that to show the origin story of the Florida shop, which did originate from visiting Hollywood Beach, Florida. And then,
Hmm.
like, we have our pool life here where we do crazy things like drink out of pineapples and stuff like that. I made some cute videos to kind of, because that, is going to need some advertising. People are going to need to know that place exists. Painted
Yeah.
Street Boutiques, Cooper City, Florida. I'm not sure
Hmm.
if we have any people watching.
Hey, never
Want to
know.
spread the word for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, always support small business. Well, this shirt I'm wearing is from a small business, Modern Alchemy Creative in Dealey and Noble. So, yeah, shout out to them. They're very cool, kind of metaphysical magic, kind of witchy store and everything. So, and if you ever go down there, give their sound sanctuary a try, especially if you're into like, things like, sound healing, all that stuff. Game changer for me, definitely. And I'm actually, one thing I'm doing this year, I'm starting to study, especially since I'm a musician, study sound healing a little bit deeper and like, get deeper into that. So yeah, so that's one thing I'll be doing over these like next 12 months. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's actually, I just posted a couple like resonances, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
I've been really getting into like Instagram. Like I didn't pay a lot of attention to Instagram before, but I've been on it a little bit more. And like some of the music on there is just like it's awesome. Like other people post things, and then I found like it's like 000 hertz or whatever.
Yeah.
In an invocation of 2026, and just like there's a lot of really cool divine stuff that's allegedly talking about the fall of like like the, I guess you'd say like the fake kind of mentality that people have as far regarding relationships, and more like divine unions where people aren't bonding over trauma and stuff like that. I'm really into a lot of metaphysical stuff, so you're probably going to see so many things happen that I don't know are happening yet.
Yeah, but especially like, reading up on like things like 432 hertz music and 528 and just all like the different levels of music and how each one can like affect your how it affects your parasympathetic nervous system, different meridians of your being, your body, mind, body, soul, all of that. But I'm gonna be studying that a lot more. And and I've always been interested in that, but what really, really piqued my interest, aside from using the Sound Sanctuary Lounge at Modern Alchemy, I was when I was reading about the ancient Celts, and and how like recounts of like the Celts and everything about how those that warred with them actually, number one, the Celts would use this really, I think it's called like a clarnex or something. They would use this like really, really cool large instrument as part as like kind of like a war instrument, number one. And number two, it was like the men and women would fight alongside of each other. And there were recounts of those that warred with the Celts, talking about how at times the Celtic women were more frightening, like the warriors, the women warriors were more frightening than the man warriors, because like the women warriors, like they would like actually let out these sounds from their mouths that would really just almost like frighten their enemies. And it would almost be like, and then like the men would let out like these really low, like kind of guttural sounds, and together like they sounded very frightening according to people who witnessed it. And I was like, wow, like sound is so powerful.
I just realized too that I do mention sound in the ley lines book too, because it's earth energy and ley lines. So that book does encompass things other than ley lines. It also encompasses like blue zones, play and things like that. And then oh my gosh, geopathic stress. That's things underneath our own homes that could be causing stress within us. But yes, the sound, I really like sound healing. I'm totally all for that. Definitely. It's awesome. So, if you incorporate that in your music, you gotta let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely I'm really looking forward to delving into it further.
Very good.
So where can people find find information about you and like what you have coming up? Because I know you have a few Instagram and Facebook pages.
Yeah, certainly. Well, first I want to mention one other thing. I feel like I have to mention this thing because the other day, like I was running around from state to state for work, and I ended up in Maryland, and and I went into a store, and I was like, "What state am I in?" The clerk was like, "You're in Maryland." I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh." She pointed out that the lottery was 1.5 billion dollars, and I said, she was like, "What would you do with all that money?" And I was like, "Well." I was like, I would do something humanitarian. I've seen a lot of places where like houses are dilapidated and communities are falling apart, and I would just rebuild them with that money. And she goes, I hope you win. I didn't play, so I didn't win because it was Maryland and I don't live there.
Yeah.
But just a shout out if there's any billionaires that want someone to do a humanitarian project, I'm your girl. Put that one out there first. But
Okay.
then what was the question? Because I just passed that whole point.
Like, where can people find you and find information on your upcoming events, releases, all that stuff?
Yeah, I do. I have too many social media platforms right now, I think. But Instagram definitely. I'm trying to separate because I like things like Krampus, and then I like the normal stuff like the gag gifts and the fun Florida stuff. So I've been trying to separate that. But you can find Solstice Night Sky Productions. There's a Solstice Night Sky Designs. There's a Cooper City, Florida Solstice Night Sky. That's the new one. And then there's a Solstice Night Sky Productions and a Solstice Night Sky Designs on Facebook. That just the pages. Any personal accounts, I'm not going to accept strangers on. It's just not something I would like to do. So, but I do have like groups and things like that where I can talk to other people. About things. It's just like putting people into your personal accounts is not something I've ever been. I live a public private life, so I don't always add people on personal accounts, but I do on pages. And then also I have solsticenightsky.com is my website. And then my books are on Amazon. So just Google my name and take you to a couple places.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on again. And
Well, thanks for having me.
it's always a lot of fun to see what you're up to and yeah, what you got in the works. So, and of course, get it out there and and maybe
Maybe
like
make some.
you know
I was gonna say maybe you could make some cool music for our paranormal film. I think you froze.
yeah.
I think you froze.
Huh?
I think it froze on. It looks like you froze.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, you're not frozen, so.
Okay, good. Why am I got? I'm such a weird mood.
No, you're fine. But yeah, but yeah, hey, well, maybe we can talk about making that happen. So fabulous. All right. Well, thank you again, Christine, for coming on. And once again, this is Tiffany's After Hour Chats podcast. And hope you had a really safe and happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate, and that you have a great 12 months ahead coming up. Because we're going into the year of the fire horse.
Yes.
Yeah, so we just came
February
out.
17th starts that.
Yeah, February 17th is when the year. I don't know about you, but I totally felt that year of the snake.
I'm happy to shed it. I really am.
And all the purging, and although we're not totally out of that until February 17th, but you know what? Every time I shedded or purged something that like wasn't serving me, another door would open up.
That's how it works. I do that too.
Another door would open up, and something that was more in alignment, with,
That's how it works.
but you know what? So no, we're not totally in the clear on January 1st, but you know what? The way I see it is if we need a little bit more time to shed and really get into, start to get into alignment, both as individuals as well as a collective, you know what? Hey, I'm here for more shedding.
Yeah. And
So,
they say that horse is going to be chaotic, but good,
well,
chaotic and
yeah,
cool.
well, the fire horse is going to be chaotic for those that didn't really do the necessary work that needed to be done in the year of the snake. But if you've been kind of doing the work during the year of the snake, the year of the fire horse is actually, it's like whatever direction that you're going in, that's where you're going to go full speed ahead. So hopefully you've been doing the work. you know
I have. I'm all about alignment, like reaching my highest self. And I
yeah.
have some ideas for that. Like they're private right now,
Mhm.
but
Yes, so fire
it's really
horse, we
good.
are ready.
Absolutely. I mean, I made another mistake that I shouldn't have. Like sometimes we make dumb little mistakes that we've already done before, and then you're like, oh, I didn't do that again.
It,
We make mistakes.
and sometimes it takes just one thing to trigger that, and you just look at it and you're like, oh, wait, that's been a consistent pattern that's not serving me. So then you start to be like, okay, well, why have I been repeating that pattern? And then that's when you dig into like your subconscious and, you really start to peel away the layers. Yeah, you start to peel away the layers. And then you're like, okay, yeah, when I was 5, such and such happened. And sometimes it's when you do that, like it ends up being not what you would expect. And sometimes it seems like it's totally unrelated, but you're like, no, okay, no, this is what happened. This triggered this, that, series of events, which kept me in this loop, this dark pattern. And I think you're really like it challenged me to
Yeah.
balance it all really.
It challenges you to balance too, like to learn balance.
Yes, yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, we've been doing a lot of shedding. So year of the fire horse. Come on. So,
You.
so all right. Well, thank you so much, Christine, for coming on. And again, this is the After Hours Chats, and hope you have a wonderful month of January. And just remember to ground. And the winter time, it's the season of the crone, which is a time for going in and just really doing that self-reflecting. And sometimes it's not always fun, but if something needs to come to the surface, it's necessary. And I'm a total crone girly. I love I do love the newness of the maiden and then the creativity of the mother, but I also very much cherish this season to really just go within and just start to see what new seeds need to be planted. So, just some food for thought out there. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you in the next episode of the After Hours podcast. So until then, stay safe. And as always, stay spooky.